Welcome to Quest Media. Today, we're bringing you an incredible resource to supercharge your English: 100 plus flashcards of common idioms. These idioms are the secret sauce to sounding more natural and expressive in English. Each flashcard includes the idiom, its meaning, and a practical example to make learning easy and fun. Whether you're brushing up your skills, learning from scratch, or expanding your vocabulary, these cards are perfect for study, review, or even just casual learning. If you find this helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Quest Media for more amazing content. Let's dive in. A blessing in disguise. Meaning: a misfortune that eventually results in something good. Example: losing his job seemed terrible at first, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because it pushed him to start his own business. A piece of cake. Meaning: something very easy to do. Example: solving the math problem was a piece of cake for the brilliant student. Break the ice. Meaning: initiate a conversation in a social setting. Example: to break the ice at the meeting, she told a funny story about her weekend. Burn the midnight oil. Meaning: work late into the night. Example: she had to burn the midnight oil to prepare for her final exams. Caught between a rock and a hard place. Meaning: facing two equally undesirable choices. Example: he was caught between a rock and a hard place when asked to choose between his job and family. Cut corners. Meaning: do something poorly or cheaply to save time or money. Example: the company cut corners on safety to reduce costs, leading to an accident. Hit the nail on the head. Meaning: describe exactly what is causing a situation or problem. Example: when he said the project failed due to lack of planning, he hit the nail on the head. Let the cat out of the bag. Meaning: reveal a secret. Example: she accidentally let the cat out of the bag about the surprise party. Kill two birds with one stone. Meaning: achieve two goals with a single effort. Example: by taking the train, she killed two birds with one stone, avoiding traffic and saving money. Bite the bullet. Meaning: face a difficult situation with courage. Example: he decided to bite the bullet and tell his boss he made a mistake. Under the weather. Meaning: feeling sick or unwell. Example: she stayed home from work because she was feeling under the weather. The ball is in your court. Meaning: it's up to you to take the next step. Example: I've given you all the details, now the ball is in your court. Pull someone's leg. Meaning: joke with someone. Example: don't take him seriously, he's just pulling your leg. Throw in the towel. Meaning: give up or surrender. Example: after several failed attempts, he decided to throw in the towel and abandon the project. Spill the beans. Meaning: reveal a secret or confidential information. Example: the kids spilled the beans about the surprise gift. Blow off steam. Meaning: release pent-up emotions or energy. Example: after a stressful week, she went for a run to blow off steam. Burn bridges. Meaning: damage a relationship beyond repair. Example: he regrets burning bridges with his former boss when he quit. Call it a day. Meaning: stop working for the day. Example: we've done enough for today, let's call it a day. Cry over spilled milk. Meaning, worry about something that can't be changed. Example, it's no use crying over spilled milk, let's focus on solving the problem. Barking up the wrong tree. Meaning, pursuing the wrong course of action. Example, the police were barking up the wrong tree by accusing him of the crime. Add fuel to the fire. Meaning, make a bad situation worse. Example, his harsh comments only added fuel to the fire during the argument. Actions speak louder than words. Meaning, what someone does is more important than what they say. Example, he promised to help, but his actions speak louder than words, he hasn't shown up. At the drop of a hat. Meaning, immediately, without hesitation. Example, she's always ready to travel at the drop of a hat. Beat around the bush. Meaning, avoid saying what you mean directly. Example, stop beating around the bush and tell me the truth. Best of both worlds. Meaning, a situation where you can enjoy two different advantages. Example, working from home gives her the best of both worlds, time with family and a steady income. Bite off more than you can chew. Meaning, take on more than you can handle. Example, by accepting 3 projects at once, he bit off more than he could chew. Costs an arm and a leg. Meaning, very expensive. Example, the new car cost an arm and a leg, but it was worth it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Meaning, don't risk everything on one venture. Example, she diversified her investments to avoid putting all her eggs in one basket. Every cloud has a silver lining. Meaning, there is something good in every bad situation. Example, losing the job was tough, but every cloud has a silver lining, it allowed him to start a new career. Get your act together. Meaning, start behaving more responsibly or efficiently. Example, if he doesn't get his act together, he'll lose the opportunity. Give the benefit of the doubt. Meaning, believe someone without proof or doubt their intentions. Example, she gave him the benefit of the doubt when he said he was late due to traffic. Hit the ground running. Meaning, start something with great enthusiasm and energy. Example, the new employee hit the ground running by completing the first project ahead of schedule. In the heat of the moment. Meaning, acting impulsively because of emotions. Example, he said some hurtful things in the heat of the moment, but later apologized. It takes 2 to tango. Meaning, both parties are responsible for a situation. Example, don't blame her alone for the argument, it takes 2 to tango. Jump on the bandwagon. Meaning, join others in doing something popular. Example, many people jumped on the bandwagon of using social media for advertising. Leave no stone unturned. Meaning, do everything possible to achieve a goal. Example, the detective left no stone unturned in solving the case. Make a long story short. Meaning, summarize something. Example, to make a long story short, the event was a success despite initial issues. Miss the boat. Meaning, fail to take advantage of an opportunity. Example, he missed the boat by not investing in the company early. On the same page. Meaning, agreeing or understanding something in the same way. Example, the team had a meeting to ensure everyone was on the same page about the project. Over the moon. Meaning, extremely happy or excited. Example, she was over the moon when she got her dream job. Piece of the action. Meaning, get involved in something exciting or profitable. Example, he wanted a piece of the action in the booming tech industry. Play it by ear. Meaning, improvise instead of planning. Example, we didn't book tickets for the event, we'll just play it by ear. Put your foot down. Meaning, be firm about something. Example, she had to put her foot down and insist the kids finish their homework. Raining cats and dogs. Meaning, raining very heavily. Example, it was raining cats and dogs, so we decided to stay indoors. See eye to eye. Meaning, agree with someone. Example, they don't see eye to eye on how to manage the project. Sit on the fence. Meaning, avoid making a decision or choice. Example, he sat on the fence during the debate, refusing to take sides. Skeleton in the closet. Meaning, a hidden and embarrassing secret. Example, every family has a skeleton in the closet that they prefer to keep hidden. Speak of the devil. Meaning, someone you were talking about appears. Example, speak of the devil. We were just talking about you. Steal someone's thunder. Meaning, take credit for someone else's idea or success. Example, he stole her thunder by announcing the results before she could. The best thing since sliced bread. Meaning, something new and innovative. Example, this new phone is the best thing since sliced bread. Throw caution to the wind. Meaning, take a risk. Example, they threw caution to the wind and invested all their savings. Through thick and thin. Meaning, supporting someone during good and bad times. Example, she stood by her friend through thick and thin. Time flies. Meaning, time seems to pass very quickly. Example, time flies when you're having fun at the party. Touch base. Meaning, briefly connect or update. Example, let's touch base next week to finalize the details. Turn a blind eye. Meaning, pretend not to notice something wrong. Example, the manager turned a blind eye to the employee's lateness. Under someone's thumb. Meaning, under someone's control. Example, he is under his boss's thumb and never questions her decisions. Up in the air. Meaning, uncertain or unresolved. Example, the vacation plans are still up in the air. Walk a mile in someone's shoes. Meaning, understand someone's perspective by imagining their situation. Example, you'll understand her struggles when you walk a mile in her shoes. You can't judge a book by its cover. Meaning, don't judge based on appearance. Example, he seemed rude at first, but you can't judge a book by its cover. Your guess is as good as mine. Meaning, I have no idea either. Example, when asked about the new policy, he replied, your guess is as good as mine. A dime a dozen. Meaning, very common and of little value. Example, smartphones are a dime a dozen these days, with new models released constantly. All ears. Meaning, fully listening and paying attention. Example, when she started explaining the project, he was all ears. At your wit's end. Meaning, extremely frustrated or worried. Example: she was at her wit's end trying to find a solution to the problem. Back to the drawing board. Meaning: start over after a failure. Example: the product didn't work, so it's back to the drawing board for the design team. Bend over backward. Meaning: do whatever it takes to help someone. Example: the teacher bent over backward to help her struggling student succeed. By the skin of your teeth. Meaning: barely managed to do something. Example: he caught the train by the skin of his teeth. Cut to the chase. Meaning: get to the main point without wasting time. Example: instead of small talk, let's cut to the chase and discuss the deal. Devil's advocate. Meaning: argue against an idea to test its validity. Example: he played devil's advocate during the meeting to challenge everyone's assumptions. Face the music. Meaning: accept the consequences of your actions. Example: after missing the deadline, he had to face the music and explain to his boss. Fall on deaf ears. Meaning: be ignored or not listened to. Example: her complaints about the noise fell on deaf ears. Food for thought. Meaning: something to think about seriously. Example: the speech gave the audience food for thought about climate change. Get cold feet. Meaning: become nervous about something planned. Example: he got cold feet just before the wedding and started having doubts. Get out of hand. Meaning: become uncontrollable. Example: the party got out of hand when uninvited guests showed up. Give someone the cold shoulder. Meaning: ignore someone intentionally. Example: after their argument, she gave him the cold shoulder for days. Go the extra mile. Meaning: do more than what is required. Example: the customer service team always goes the extra mile to ensure satisfaction. Have a change of heart. Meaning: change your opinion or decision. Example: she had a change of heart and decided not to sell her car. In hot water. Meaning: in trouble. Example: he found himself in hot water after missing the important deadline. It's not rocket science. Meaning: it's not very complicated. Example: cooking this dish isn't rocket science, you just follow the recipe. Let sleeping dogs lie. Meaning: avoid interfering in a situation to prevent trouble. Example: you should let sleeping dogs lie and not bring up past arguments. Once in a blue moon. Meaning: very rarely. Example: they only visit their grandparents once in a blue moon. Out of the blue. Meaning: unexpectedly. Example: she called me out of the blue after years of no contact. Pull out all the stops. Meaning: do everything possible to achieve something. Example: they pulled out all the stops to make the wedding unforgettable. Rain on someone's parade. Meaning: ruin someone's plans. Example: he didn't want to rain on her parade, but the concert was cancelled. Read between the lines. Meaning: understand a hidden or implied meaning. Example: if you read between the lines, you'll realize he's not happy with the decision. Run out of steam. Meaning: lose energy or enthusiasm. Example: he started strong, but ran out of steam halfway through the race. Shoot for the stars. Meaning: aim high or be ambitious. Example, she always encourages her children to shoot for the stars in their careers. Sit tight. Meaning, wait patiently. Example, the doctor asked us to sit tight until the test results came back. Split hairs. Meaning, argue about small or unimportant details. Example, stop splitting hairs and focus on the bigger issue. Stab in the back. Meaning, betray someone. Example, she felt betrayed when her colleague stabbed her in the back by taking credit for her work. Straight from the horse's mouth. Meaning, information directly from the source. Example, I heard the news straight from the horse's mouth, the manager himself told me. Take it with a grain of salt. Meaning, don't take it too seriously. Example, he's known to exaggerate, so take his advice with a grain of salt. The tip of the iceberg. Meaning, a small part of a much larger issue. Example, the financial losses reported are just the tip of the iceberg, the company is struggling in many areas. Throw in the towel. Meaning, give up. Example, after trying for hours, he finally threw in the towel and called a technician. Turn over a new leaf. Meaning, start behaving in a better way. Example, after the argument, he promised to turn over a new leaf and be more understanding. Under the radar. Meaning, not noticed or detected. Example, the startup stayed under the radar until it gained significant funding. When pigs fly. Meaning, something that will never happen. Example, he'll tidy up his room when pigs fly. Wrap your head around it. Meaning, understand something complex. Example, it's hard to wrap your head around quantum physics without studying it. You reap what you sow. Meaning, your actions determine your outcomes. Example, if you work hard, you'll succeed, you reap what you sow. Your heart's in the right place. Meaning, your intentions are good, even if the outcome isn't perfect. Example, he made some mistakes, but his heart was in the right place. Zip your lip. Meaning, be quiet or stop talking. Example, she told her friend to zip her lip before revealing the surprise party details. A blessing in disguise. Meaning, something that seems bad at first but turns out to be good. Example, losing that job was a blessing in disguise. At first, I was devastated, but then I found a new job that aligned better with my skills and passions, and I'm much happier now. A penny for your thoughts. Meaning, asking someone what they are thinking about. Example, when I noticed Sarah staring out of the window during the meeting, I said, a penny for your thoughts. She smiled and shared that she was reflecting on a new strategy for our project. Actions speak louder than words. Meaning, what you do is more important than what you say. Example, he kept saying he would help me with the project, but he never showed up. Actions speak louder than words, and his lack of effort told me he wasn't really committed. Add fuel to the fire. Meaning, to make a bad situation worse. Example, when they were already arguing, her sarcastic comment only added fuel to the fire. It escalated the fight, instead of calming things down. All bark and no bite. Meaning, someone who talks a lot, but doesn't act on their words. Example, my boss threatened to fire me if I was late again, but is all bark and no bite. He didn't do anything when I arrived late the next day. Beat around the bush. Meaning, to avoid saying something directly. Example, when I asked him about the budget cuts, he started beating around the bush, talking about unrelated topics. It was clear he didn't want to give me a straight answer. Break the ice. Meaning, to initiate conversation in a relaxed way. Example, during the first day of class, the teacher broke the ice by asking us to share a fun fact about ourselves. It helped everyone feel more comfortable. Burn the midnight oil. Meaning, to work late into the night. Example, with the deadline approaching, I had to burn the midnight oil to finish the presentation. I worked until 3 a.m., but managed to get it done in time. By the skin of your teeth. Meaning, just barely managing to accomplish something. Example, I caught the train by the skin of my teeth. I ran all the way to the station and got on just as the doors were closing. Caught between a rock and a hard place. Meaning, being in a difficult situation with no easy solution. Example, when asked to choose between my job and moving away from my family, I felt caught between a rock and a hard place. Both options had serious consequences. Costs an arm and a leg. Meaning, something very expensive. Example, the house we wanted to buy costs an arm and a leg, but it's our dream home, so we're trying to find ways to make it work. Cry over spilled milk. Meaning, to worry about something that cannot be changed. Example, it's no use crying over spilled milk after losing that contract. We should focus on finding new clients instead. Cut corners. Meaning, to do something in the easiest or cheapest way, often compromising quality. Example, the construction company cut corners to save money, but now the building has structural issues. Devil's advocate. Meaning, to argue against something just for the sake of debate or discussion. Example, during the meeting, I played devil's advocate to ensure we considered all possible risks of the project. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Meaning, don't assume success before it happens. Example, he started spending his bonus before getting the promotion, but I warned him not to count his chickens before they hatch. Feeling under the weather. Meaning, feeling sick or unwell. Example, I didn't go to work today because I was feeling under the weather. I think I might have caught a cold. Give the benefit of the doubt. Meaning, to believe someone is telling the truth until proven otherwise. Example, I didn't see him take the money, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt and assumed it was a mistake. Go the extra mile. Meaning, to put in more effort than is required. Example, she went the extra mile to help her team succeed, staying late every night to finish the project. Hit the nail on the head. Meaning, to say or do exactly the right thing. Example, when she pointed out that poor communication was the root of our issues, she hit the nail on the head. It takes two to tango. Meaning, both parties are responsible for a situation. Example, don't blame only him for the argument, it takes two to tango, and you were involved too. Kill two birds with one stone. Meaning, to achieve two things with one action. Example, I killed two birds with one stone by exercising while listening to an audiobook I needed to finish. Let the cat out of the bag. Meaning, to reveal a secret. Example, he let the cat out of the bag about the surprise party, so now everyone knows about it. Make a long story short. Meaning, to summarize a story or explanation. Example, to make a long story short, we missed our flight because we overslept. Once in a blue moon. Meaning, something that happens very rarely. Example, we only see our cousins once in a blue moon since they live on another continent. On thin ice. Meaning, in a risky or precarious situation. Example, after missing so many deadlines, he's on thin ice with his boss and might get fired. Pulling someone's leg. Meaning, to joke or tease someone. Example, when he said he won the lottery, I thought he was pulling my leg, but it turned out to be true. Raining cats and dogs. Meaning, raining very heavily. Example, we couldn't go outside, because it was raining cats and dogs all afternoon. See eye to eye. Meaning, to agree with someone. Example, they don't always see eye to eye, but they manage to agree on the budget for the project. Sit on the fence. Meaning, to avoid making a decision or taking sides. Example, during the debate, he sat on the fence and refused to express his opinion. Speak of the devil. Meaning, the person being talked about appears. Example, we were just discussing her when she walked in. Speak of the devil. Spill the beans. Meaning, to reveal a secret. Example, he spilled the beans about the company's upcoming merger during a casual conversation. The ball is in your court. Meaning, it's your responsibility to take the next step. Example, I've made my offer, now the ball is in your court to decide if you accept it. The best of both worlds. Meaning, to enjoy two advantages at the same time. Example, working from home gives me the best of both worlds. I can earn money and spend time with my family. Throw in the towel. Meaning, to give up or quit. Example, after months of struggling with the project, he decided to throw in the towel and move on. Under the weather. Meaning, feeling unwell or sick. Example, she's not coming to the party because she's feeling under the weather today. Barking up the wrong tree. Meaning, to pursue a misguided course of action. Example, the police suspected the wrong man for the robbery and spent weeks barking up the wrong tree. Meanwhile, the real culprit had already fled the country. Burning the candle at both ends. Meaning, to overwork oneself by doing too many things, especially late into the night. Example, between finishing her dissertation and preparing for the conference, she's been burning the candle at both ends. Her health is starting to suffer because she barely gets any sleep. Curiosity killed the cat. Meaning, being too inquisitive can lead to trouble. Example, when he started snooping through his colleagues' emails out of curiosity, he got reprimanded by HR. It was a classic case of curiosity killed the cat. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Meaning, don't take on more responsibilities than you can handle. Example, he thought he could manage 2 full-time jobs and a part-time course, but he quickly realized he had bitten off more than he could chew. Fish out of water. Meaning, someone in an unfamiliar or uncomfortable situation. Example, at the high-profile networking event, she felt like a fish out of water since she didn't know anyone and wasn't familiar with the corporate jargon. Go down in flames. Meaning, to fail spectacularly. Example, the company's attempt to launch a new product went down in flames when their main supplier backed out at the last minute, leaving them with no inventory to sell. Hit the ground running. Meaning, to start something and immediately proceed with energy and enthusiasm. Example, after months of planning, the new CEO hit the ground running, implementing major policy changes in her first week and addressing key issues the company face. In the heat of the moment. Meaning, acting impulsively or without thinking due to strong emotions. Example, during the argument, he said some hurtful things in the heat of the moment, which he later regretted and apologized for. Jump the gun. Meaning, to act prematurely or without sufficient preparation. Example, announcing the project before securing funding was jumping the gun, and it put unnecessary pressure on the entire team to deliver without resources. Keep your chin up. Meaning, stay positive and optimistic during difficult times. Example, even after losing his job, he managed to keep his chin up, believing that better opportunities were around the corner. Kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. Meaning, to destroy something that is a source of wealth or advantage. Example, by overexploiting their employees and cutting their benefits, the company killed the goose that laid the golden eggs, resulting in high turnover and lower productivity. Let sleeping dogs lie. Meaning, to avoid stirring up trouble or reviving old issues. Example, he decided not to bring up the past argument with his partner, thinking it was better to let sleeping dogs lie rather than risk another confrontation. Miss the boat. Meaning, to miss an opportunity. Example, she missed the boat on buying cryptocurrency when the prices were low, and now she regrets not investing earlier. Off the beaten path. Meaning, unusual, not commonly visited or explored. Example, during their vacation, they chose to explore a small village off the beaten path, where they discovered a hidden gem of a restaurant that served authentic local cuisine. On cloud nine. Meaning, extremely happy or elated. Example, when he got accepted into his dream university, he was on cloud nine for days, sharing the news with everyone he met. Piece of cake. Meaning, something very easy to do. Example, for someone with his technical skills, fixing the computer was a piece of cake. He resolved the issue in less than 5 minutes. Read between the lines. Meaning, to understand a meaning that is not explicitly stated. Example, the report seemed positive on the surface, but when you read between the lines, it was clear that the company was struggling financially. Steal someone's thunder. Meaning, to take credit for someone else's achievement, or distract attention from them. Example, she planned to announce her engagement at the party, but her sister stole her thunder by revealing her pregnancy first, taking all the attention. The ball is in your court. Meaning, it is your responsibility to take the next step or make a decision. Example, they've sent the revised contract for your approval, so now the ball is in your court to accept, negotiate, or decline the offer. The last straw. Meaning, the final incident that leads to a loss of patience, or a breaking point. Example, when her boss criticized her work in front of the entire team for the 3rd time that week, it was the last straw, and she decided to resign. Throw caution to the wind. Meaning, to act recklessly, or without considering the risks. Example, she threw caution to the wind and invested all her savings in the startup, hoping it would pay off despite the high risk. Under the weather. Meaning, feeling slightly ill or unwell. Example, I've been feeling a bit under the weather lately, so I'll take it easy and rest this weekend. Walk a mile in someone's shoes. Meaning, to understand someone else's perspective by imagining yourself in their situation. Example, before criticizing his decisions, try walking a mile in his shoes, you'll see how tough his responsibilities are. Water under the bridge. Meaning, something that happened in the past and is no longer a concern. Example, they had a falling out years ago, but that's all water under the bridge now. They've reconciled and are good friends again. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Meaning, you cannot enjoy two desirable, but mutually exclusive options. Example, he wanted the freedom of being single, but also the emotional security of a committed relationship. Eventually, he realized you can't have your cake and eat it too. Actions speak louder than words. Meaning, what someone does is more important than what they say. Example, he promised to support the charity, but actions speak louder than words, so we'll see if he follows through with a donation. Add insult to injury. Meaning, to make a bad situation worse. Example, after delivering the wrong order, the restaurant added insult to injury by refusing to give a refund. At the drop of a hat. Meaning, immediately or without hesitation. Example, she's so dependable that she'll help you out at the drop of a hat, no matter how inconvenient it is for her. Back to square one. Meaning, to start over because the previous attempt failed. Example, when the negotiations fell apart, the team had to go back to square one and rethink their entire strategy. Beat around the bush. Meaning, to avoid talking directly about an issue. Example, stop beating around the bush and tell me if you're interested in the job or not. Blow off steam. Meaning, to release pent-up emotions or stress. Example, after a stressful week at work, he went to the gym to blow off some steam and clear his mind. By the skin of your teeth. Meaning, to narrowly escape a difficult situation. Example, he passed the exam by the skin of his teeth, scoring just 1 point above the minimum requirement. Call it a day. Meaning, to stop working on something, usually after accomplishing enough. Example, after spending hours revising the report, they decided to call it a day and continue tomorrow. Cat got your tongue. Meaning, used to ask why someone is silent or hesitant to speak. Example, when I asked him about the missing money, he just stared at me silently. I said, "What's wrong?" Cat got your tongue. Fall on deaf ears. Meaning, to be ignored or disregarded. Example, his suggestions for improving the workflow fell on deaf ears, as the management was unwilling to make changes. Feeling under the weather. Meaning, feeling slightly ill or unwell. Example, she didn't attend the meeting because she was feeling under the weather and needed rest. Get a taste of your own medicine. Meaning, to experience the same negative treatment one has given to others. Example, after years of being overly critical of his team, he got a taste of his own medicine when his new boss criticized him harshly. Give someone the cold shoulder. Meaning, to deliberately ignore someone. Example, after their argument, she gave him the cold shoulder at work, refusing to acknowledge his presence. Go on a wild goose chase. Meaning, to pursue something that is difficult or impossible to achieve. Example, searching for the lost receipt in the enormous pile of paperwork was like going on a wild goose chase. Have a chip on your shoulder. Meaning, to be easily angered or feel resentment due to past experiences. Example, he's had a chip on his shoulder ever since he was overlooked for the promotion, and it shows in his attitude toward management. Hit the nail on the head. Meaning, to describe exactly what is causing a situation or problem. Example, when she said the issue was a lack of communication, she hit the nail on the head, as that was precisely the root of the problem. Ignorance is bliss. Meaning, sometimes, not knowing something is better than knowing and worrying about it. Example, he decided not to read the bad reviews about his work, thinking that ignorance is bliss and focusing instead on the positive feedback. It takes two to tango. Meaning, both parties are responsible for a situation or argument. Example, their constant bickering shows that it takes two to tango, neither of them is completely innocent. Kill two birds with one stone. Meaning, to achieve two things with a single action. Example, by attending the conference, he killed two birds with one stone, learning about industry trends and networking with potential clients. Let the cat out of the bag. Meaning, to reveal a secret unintentionally. Example, he let the cat out of the bag about the surprise party, when he accidentally mentioned it to the guest of honor. Make a mountain out of a molehill. Meaning, to exaggerate the importance of a minor issue. Example, she made a mountain out of a molehill by complaining for hours about a slight delay in her order. Not the sharpest tool in the shed. Meaning, not very intelligent or quick-witted. Example, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but he makes up for it with his hard work and determination. On the ball. Meaning, alert, attentive, and competent. Example, the new assistant is really on the ball, she anticipates problems and solves them before they arise. Pull yourself together. Meaning, to regain composure or calmness after being upset or disorganized. Example, after the disappointing news, he took a moment to pull himself together before addressing the team. Rain on someone's parade. Meaning, to spoil someone's plans or excitement. Example, she didn't want to rain on his parade, but she had to tell him the project funding had been denied. Raining cats and dogs. Meaning, raining very heavily. Example, it was raining cats and dogs during the wedding, but the couple still managed to enjoy their big day under the tents. Read between the lines. Meaning, to understand the hidden meaning or implication behind what is said or written. Example, his email didn't explicitly say there were issues, but if you read between the lines, it was clear that he wasn't satisfied with the project. Rock the boat. Meaning, to cause trouble or disrupt a stable situation. Example, she didn't want to rock the boat at her new job, so she kept her concerns about the new policy to herself. Save face. Meaning, to avoid embarrassment or maintain one's dignity. Example, he publicly apologized to save face after his remarks caused an uproar among his colleagues. See eye to eye. Meaning, to agree with someone or have the same opinion. Example, despite their differences, they see eye to eye on the need for urgent action to address the environmental crisis. Sit on the fence. Meaning, to remain neutral or undecided about an issue. Example, the politician was criticized for sitting on the fence instead of taking a clear stance on the controversial policy. Straight from the horse's mouth. Meaning, directly from a reliable source. Example, I heard the company is planning to expand, and I got this information straight from the horse's mouth, the CEO himself. Take it with a grain of salt. Meaning, to view something with skepticism, or not take it literally. Example, When reading reviews online, it's best to take them with a grain of salt, as some may be exaggerated or biased. The early bird catches the worm. Meaning, those who start early or act promptly are more likely to succeed. Example: he woke up at dawn to secure a spot at the job fair, knowing that the early bird catches the worm. Throw in the towel. Meaning, to give up or admit defeat. Example: after months of trying to fix the car, he finally threw in the towel and decided to buy a new one. Turn a blind eye. Meaning, to ignore something deliberately. Example: the manager turned a blind eye to the minor violations, because the team was under a lot of pressure to meet the deadline. Under your nose. Meaning, something obvious or easily noticeable but overlooked. Example: she searched everywhere for her glasses, only to find them right under her nose on the kitchen counter. Wrap your head around something. Meaning, to fully understand something complicated or confusing. Example: it took him days to wrap his head around the new software, but now he's using it effortlessly. You can't judge a book by its cover. Meaning, appearances can be misleading. You need to look deeper to understand the true nature of something. Example: at first, the small cafe didn't look impressive, but the food was extraordinary. You can't judge a book by its cover. Your guess is as good as mine. Meaning, to admit that you do not know the answer, or have no more information than someone else. Example: when asked about the release date of the new phone model, he shrugged and said, "Your guess is as good as mine." Barking up the wrong tree. Meaning, to pursue a mistaken or misguided course of action. Example: if you're blaming John for the missing files, you're barking up the wrong tree. He wasn't even in the office that day. Burn the candle at both ends. Meaning, to overwork yourself by staying up late and waking up early. Example: she's been burning the candle at both ends to meet the project deadline, and it's starting to take a toll on her health. Catch someone red-handed. Meaning, to catch someone in the act of doing something wrong. Example: the thief was caught red-handed while trying to steal a wallet from an open handbag. Cut to the chase. Meaning, to get to the main point without wasting time. Example: the audience was growing impatient, so the speaker decided to cut to the chase and present the key findings of the report. Face the music. Meaning, to accept the consequences of one's actions. Example: after being caught cheating on the exam, he had to face the music and accept the punishment from the school administration. Find your feet. Meaning, to adjust to a new situation, or become comfortable with it. Example: it took a few weeks for her to find her feet at her new job, but now she's thriving in her role. Go the extra mile. Meaning, to put in more effort than expected. Example: the hotel staff went the extra mile to make sure the guests had an unforgettable experience during their stay. Hit the ground running. Meaning, to start a project or task with energy and enthusiasm. Example: the new team leader hit the ground running by organizing a strategy session on her first day. Keep someone at arm's length. Meaning, to avoid being too close to someone, emotionally or physically. Example: she decided to keep her ex-boyfriend at arm's length to avoid reigniting old emotions. Let bygones be bygones. Meaning, to forgive past offenses and move on. Example: after years of feuding, the two families decided to let bygones be bygones and work together to rebuild their community. Miss the boat. Meaning, to miss an opportunity. Example, he missed the boat on investing in the startup when it was affordable, and now the shares are too expensive. On thin ice. Meaning, in a risky or precarious situation. Example, after repeatedly missing deadlines, he was on thin ice with his boss and needed to prove his reliability quickly. Play it by ear. Meaning, to decide how to act in a situation as it unfolds rather than planning ahead. Example, we didn't plan an itinerary for our vacation, we'll just play it by ear and explore as we go. Pull out all the stops. Meaning, to make every possible effort. Example, the organizers pulled out all the stops to make the charity gala a success, including hiring a famous band for entertainment. Rain check. Meaning, to postpone a plan or event to another time. Example, I can't join you for dinner tonight, but I'll take a rain check and join you next week. Ring a bell. Meaning, to sound familiar, but not completely recallable. Example, the name of the restaurant rings a bell, but I can't remember if I've eaten there before. See the writing on the wall. Meaning, to recognize the signs of something bad happening in the future. Example, the employees saw the writing on the wall when the company announced a sudden freeze on hiring and promotions. Stick to your guns. Meaning, to remain firm in your decision or belief, even when challenged. Example, despite the criticism, she stuck to her guns about implementing the new policy, believing it was best for the company. Throw caution to the wind. Meaning, to act recklessly, or without worrying about the consequences. Example, they threw caution to the wind and invested all their savings in the risky venture, hoping for big returns. Under the weather. Meaning, feeling slightly unwell or out of sorts. Example, he didn't come to work today because he's feeling under the weather and needs to rest. Up in the air. Meaning, uncertain or undecided. Example, our vacation plans are still up in the air because we're waiting for confirmation from the travel agency. Walk a mile in someone's shoes. Meaning, to understand someone else's perspective or situation by experiencing it yourself. Example, before judging her harshly, try walking a mile in her shoes and understanding the challenges she faces. Water under the bridge. Meaning, something in the past that is no longer significant. Example, their argument about the project is water under the bridge now. They've moved on and are working well together. Wear your heart on your sleeve. Meaning, to openly display your emotions. Example, he wears his heart on his sleeve, so it's easy to tell when he's upset or happy. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Meaning, you can't have the benefits of two mutually exclusive options. Example, he wants to live abroad, but also doesn't want to leave his family behind. He needs to realize he can't have his cake and eat it too. Easy does it. Meaning, to take things slowly and carefully. Example, you're rushing through the project, easy does it, take your time to get it right. Eat humble pie. Meaning, to admit you were wrong and apologize. Example, after his arrogant remarks, he had to eat humble pie when he was proven wrong in front of everyone. Elbow grease. Meaning, physical effort, especially hard work. Example, if you want to get that old car running again, it will take some elbow grease, but you can do it. End of the line. meaning the final point or the end of a process. Example: the factory shutdown is the end of the line for our jobs here. Every cloud has a silver lining. Meaning, even in difficult situations, there is always some good to be found. Example: although she lost her job, she believes every cloud has a silver lining and is already looking for new opportunities. Eye for an eye. Meaning, a system of justice in which a person who harms another is punished in a similar way. Example: his punishment was an eye for an eye. For every car he damaged, one of his was smashed. Easier said than done. Meaning, it's easy to talk about something, but much harder to actually do it. Example: training for a marathon is easier said than done, especially if you don't run regularly. Every dog has its day. Meaning, everyone will have a period of success or happiness at some point. Example: she was always overshadowed by her colleagues, but every dog has its day, and soon she'll get the recognition she deserves. Eye of the storm. Meaning, the calm center of a difficult situation. Example: during the heated argument between the team leaders, he remained in the eye of the storm, staying calm and composed. Ease into something. Meaning, to gradually get involved in something. Example: he decided to ease into his new role by starting with small tasks, before taking on more responsibility. Elephant in the room. Meaning, a major issue or problem that everyone is aware of but no one wants to discuss. Example: at the family dinner, the elephant in the room was the fact that everyone knew about his recent job loss, but no one mentioned it. Empty-handed. Meaning, to return without having achieved or acquired what was expected. Example: after hours of searching, she returned empty-handed, having found nothing at the flea market. Every man for himself. Meaning, in a difficult situation, each person must look after themselves. Example: during the flood, it was every man for himself, as the water levels rose too fast for anyone to help each other. Eat like a horse. Meaning, to eat a lot. Example: he eats like a horse. You should see how much food he can devour in one sitting. End of your rope. Meaning, to be at the limit of your patience or resources. Example: after weeks of dealing with constant delays, I was at the end of my rope with the project. Elevator pitch. Meaning, a concise and persuasive speech or presentation meant to capture someone's attention quickly. Example: she had only a few minutes with the investor, so she delivered a quick elevator pitch about her startup. Eyes are bigger than your stomach. Meaning, to take more food than you can eat, or to take on more than you can handle. Example: I ordered too much at the restaurant, realizing my eyes were bigger than my stomach when I couldn't finish it all. Exceed expectations. Meaning, to perform better than what was anticipated. Example: she exceeded expectations in her presentation, leaving the clients impressed and eager to work with her. End of the road. Meaning, the final stage or conclusion of a situation. Example: after months of negotiations, the deal reached the end of the road without any agreement. Elbow room. Meaning, space to move or breathe freely. Example: the small apartment lacked enough elbow room for the growing family, so they decided to move. Earn your stripes. Meaning, to prove your worth or ability through hard work and experience. Example: he earned his stripes after spending years working in the military and moving up the ranks. Exotic taste. Meaning, a taste that is unique, unusual, or comes from a distant culture. Example, the restaurant is known for its exotic taste, offering dishes from all over the world that you can't find anywhere else. Edge of your seat. Meaning, extremely excited or interested in something. Example, the thriller movie had me on the edge of my seat the entire time, wondering what would happen next. Eat someone alive. Meaning, to criticize or attack someone very harshly. Example, the manager ate him alive during the meeting for making the same mistake multiple times. End on a high note. Meaning, to finish something with a positive or successful outcome. Example, the concert ended on a high note with a spectacular final performance that wowed the crowd. Every trick in the book. Meaning, all possible methods or strategies, especially ones that are deceitful or cunning. Example, she used every trick in the book to get ahead in the competition, including spreading rumors about her opponents. Embrace the challenge. Meaning, to accept a difficult situation as an opportunity for growth. Example, instead of being intimidated by the tough project, he chose to embrace the challenge and prove his capabilities. Empty your pockets. Meaning, to spend or give away all of your money. Example, I had to empty my pockets when the car broke down and needed a costly repair. Eye candy. Meaning, something or someone that is visually attractive, but lacks depth or substance. Example, the new movie was filled with eye candy, but the plot was weak and predictable. Eat someone's dust. Meaning, to be left behind or defeated, especially in a race or competition. Example, after working hard on the project, she managed to get ahead of the others, and they were left eating her dust. Everything but the kitchen sink. Meaning, almost everything imaginable, especially when referring to a collection of things. Example, she packed everything but the kitchen sink for the trip, bringing extra clothes and supplies for every occasion. Every second counts. Meaning, time is very valuable in certain situations. Example, when you're racing against the clock to meet a deadline, every second counts. Eat out of someone's hand. Meaning, to be completely controlled by someone, or to do exactly what they want. Example, he would do anything his boss wanted, eating out of his hand in every decision. Exceed the speed limit. Meaning, to go faster than what is legally allowed or expected. Example, the car was speeding, exceeding the speed limit, and weaving through traffic. Each to their own. Meaning, everyone has different tastes and preferences. Example, some people love classical music, while others prefer rock, each to their own. Empty nest syndrome. Meaning, feelings of sadness or loss when children grow up and leave home. Example, after her kids moved out for college, she experienced empty nest syndrome for the first time. Eat one's words. Meaning, to take back something you said, especially when it turns out to be untrue or wrong. Example, he had to eat his words after criticizing her idea, which turned out to be the best solution. Easier said than done. Meaning, something that is easy to talk about but difficult to accomplish. Example, starting your own business is easier said than done, as it requires a lot of planning and resources. Escape the rat race. Meaning, to break free from the monotonous or competitive routine of daily life. Example, After years of working in a high-pressure job, she finally decided to escape the rat race and start her own business. Each dog has its day. Meaning, everyone will experience success at some point in their life. Example, he was struggling in his career for years, but every dog has its day, and now he's a senior manager. Easy as pie. Meaning, something that is very simple or easy to do. Example, the instructions were so clear, assembling the shelf was as easy as pie. Eye-opening experience. Meaning, a moment or event that reveals something surprising or enlightening. Example, her trip to the remote village was an eye-opening experience, showing her a completely different way of life. Eat like a bird. Meaning, to eat very little. Example, she's so thin and always eats like a bird, having only a small salad for lunch. Eagle-eye. Meaning, extremely observant, noticing even the smallest details. Example, the eagle-eyed editor found a tiny typo in the report that everyone else had missed. Thank you for watching and listening to this journey through some of the most commonly used idiomatic expressions in English. We hope you found this video helpful, whether you were actively learning, or just letting the phrases sink in while multitasking or relaxing. Remember, the more you expose yourself to these expressions, the more natural they'll feel in your conversations. Practice using them in sentences, and you'll see your English skills soar to the next level. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Quest Media for more amazing content. See you in the next video. Until then, happy learning.